Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a very exciting video. I'm going to share with you all of the pans that I hit in the second quarter of the year, as well as all the eyeshadows that I finished. I do have quite a few things to get through and I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to start with all of the pans that I hit and then move into the eyeshadows. Also, sorry, I'm filming in the morning, so the light is coming in from the side. So hopefully that's not too distracting, but I'm going to jump into the video. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So like I said, I'm going to start with the pans, and the first pan that I have to share with you comes from my Beauty Bay Book of Magic palette, and that is the shade Amulet, which is this one here on top. So that one there is the first one that I hit this month, which was the 21st pan this year, and it took me 14 uses to hit pan on that eyeshadow. This palette has quite a few pans now, which is very exciting to see. The second pan for the quarter comes from my Anastasia Amrezy palette, and that is the shade Cupcake, which is this purple shadow right there. This one took me 7 uses to hit pan on. You can see it there. I mean, the Anastasia formula, especially the shimmers, I find not too hard to hit pan on, so that's probably why it only took 7 uses. The next palette is one that you're gonna see quite a bit because this was my Product Level Up Level 4 palette, and that is the Star Wars Mandalorian palette. So the first pan that I hit in here was the shade Precious Cargo, which is the white shimmer up here. It's like a kind of gold reflective white, so I used it in my inner corners, and that one took me 15 uses to hit pan on. Then after that we have my Through My Eyes palette, and this is actually, as of filming this is actually my current Product Level Up palette, but I didn't hit pan on the next pan I hit outside of Product Level Up. I hit this in my pan of eyeshadows, and that is the shadow in a wink right there. So that one took me 16 uses to hit pan on. But again, since this is my Product Level Up, we will be making a comeback soon. Next up we have another eyeshadow from my pan of eyeshadows, and that comes from my Beauty Bay Love Notes palette, and that is the shade Bellini, which is the shadow right here. You can see the pan right there, and this only took me 6 uses to pan on, but I feel like the Beauty Bay pans are very shallow and the shimmers are quite flaky, which means that they go a bit faster. And then the next pan is also from our pan of eyeshadows, and that comes from our Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. And it's my one and only pan in here. It is in the shade Quartz up here, and this one took me 7 uses to hit pan on. So like I said, the Child palette is making a comeback, and this is actually the next 3 pans come from here, and again those were the remaining of my Product Level Up pans. So the first one out of those that I hit was the shade Sipping Soup, which is this green shimmer right here. That one took me 9 uses. Then after that I hit pan on Float Your Crib, which is this shadow right here, and that one took me 10 uses. And then lastly in this palette I hit pan on Right Hand Mando, which is this shimmer up in the top there, and this one took me 18 uses to hit pan on. And yeah, this palette looks very low in love now. I have pan on everything apart from this shadow right here, and I love this palette, so I'm glad to see that this one is looking used. The next pan also came from my pan of eyeshadows, and that is from my Sweet Talk palette, and I hit pan on the shade In Case You Missed It, or I See Why Am I down here. This one is kind of missing because I'm working on it, but you can see that it's a tiny pan, but I did hit pan on it and it took me 19 uses. So next up we're actually coming back to the Through My Eyes palette, and this is when I was working on it in my Product Level Up. And the first shadow that I hit pan on from my Product Level Up was the shade Mesmerize up here. So that is the next pan, and that one took me only 5 uses to pan on. It is, I had dipped this before, and it's very flaky shadow, so it went very quickly. The next 2 shadows both come from this palette right here, and that is my Panda palette, or it was my Panda palette, it kind of still is. But yeah, those were the shadows Aura and Sommer. I won't open this up because I have changed this up quite a bit, and I will be posting a video about that later this month. But Aura was like a peachy, corally shimmer shadow, and that one took me 9 uses to pan on. And then Sommer was like a, I don't know, like a salmony peach, kind of like a very white based peach, and that one took me 15 uses to pan on. So those were my next pans, which came from my Pan palette. Then we are again coming back from my Through My Eyes palette, and the next shadow that I hit pan on in here was the shade Emerald Dream, which is this one here. And this one took me 4 uses to pan on, so sorry, this one here. So not very much, but I had a big dip in this one since before, so I think that's why I pan on it so quickly. I have used it once more since then, because obviously this is my current level up, level 5 palette, so I have to use every shade 5 times. So I used it one more time after I didn't pan on it, but that is the next one. Then the second to last pan that I hit pan on actually is one of my singles, and this one I was working on my Panos eyeshadows, and that is the shade Bombay from Glam Shop, and you can see right there that I was able to pan on this one, and this shadow took me 8 uses to pan on. Then the very final pan from the last quarter again come from Through My Eyes palette, and the last shadow that I hit pan on in here is the shade Sandalwood up in the corner, and this one took me 18 uses to pan on. So in the last quarter I hit 16 new pans for a total of 36 in the year. In the first quarter I hit 20, and in the last I hit 16, so a little bit less, but I'm still happy with that. And on average for the last quarter it took me 11.25 uses to pan on each pan, so just over 11 uses, which I think is pretty average for me. And I pan on shimmers pretty quickly, and then when it comes to mattes they're usually between like 15 to 20 uses, so yeah, I think that's pretty average. So that's kind of the pans that I've hit and the stats. Let me quickly move on to the eyeshadows that I finished as well. And both of the eyeshadows that I finished in the last quarter, because there is 2, both came from my Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia. And I'm just going to show you it straight up, because this is what it looks like at the moment. How satisfying is that? I have actually completely finished this palette, but the 2 shadows that I finished in the last quarter is the shade Cypress Umber right here. And in total, since starting to pan this palette, so since starting to track it, it took me 127 uses to finish that shadow. Yes, that is that one. Then the other one that I finished is the one right next to it, which is the most recent. I actually finished that at the very end of June, and this one took me 97 uses to finish. And again, it's only 2 shadows, but averaging that out, it took me 112 uses each to finish both of those shadows. So those are all of the things that I finished and all the things that I pan on. So looking at my kind of goals for the year, because we are at the halfway point, my goals for pans this year was to hit at least 50 pans, and I'm definitely close to that already. I've hit 36 pans, so you know, that is only 14 pans away, and I mean I've hit more than that in 1 quarter, so I should for sure kind of already surpass my goal when it comes to pans. Then when it comes to eyeshadows finished, that's kind of what I'm struggling a little bit, because I do want to finish 20 eyeshadows this year, and I have only finished 4. I finished 2 in the first quarter and 2 now in the second quarter, but I'm also feeling like I should be able to finish more shadows now at the end of the year, like in the second half of the year, because there's a lot of eyeshadows that I have been working on that is getting lower that I should be able to finish if I just keep working on them. So I'm hoping to have more than that in the next quarter. I don't know, I maybe like will just aim for like 5 finished eyeshadows in the next quarter, and then I would have 9, which would mean 11 more in the last quarter. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm just going to try to finish as many as I can in the next quarter. We have 3 more months until then, so it's quite a long time, but yeah, that is kind of where I am. And you know, not ideal with the goals for the finished eyeshadows, like I said, but I'm still happy with where I am, and I'm so excited that I finished this eyeshadow palette. If you don't know, I have 3 eyeshadows left in here at the beginning of the year that I was trying to use up. 2 of them obviously I finished in the last quarter, and then the other one that I had left to work on was Red Ochre, which I finished in the first quarter of the year. And then the last eyeshadow that I finished is the Super Shock Shadow in Revolution from Colourpop. But that is it for today, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you have finished this year, how many eyeshadows you finished, and also how many pans you've hit. And I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys.